Howdy. Today we continue the workshop upgrades by adding another workbench, or really just an extension of this main table here. Ever since I moved the filing cabinets to the other corner of the room, this is just a pile of stuff. So before I go ahead and add the overhead shelves to this new table, I want to build the one here because there's a chance I decide to connect them and have something over this closet door here for the main work surface. I'm kind of running out of plywood. I'm going to use this big old piece. This has just been hanging out down here because I didn't want to bring it all the way down to the basement. This used to be, oh yeah, it says bed on the bottom of it. This was part of my old folding bed that I took apart a bit ago. We're just going to use the same dimensions, 2 feet deep and 4 feet wide should do. I actually bought a new 8-foot 4x4 for the legs, rare instance where I'm actually buying wood instead of salvaging it, because I always use 4x4s for my workbench legs, and I'm currently out of any that are long enough, because this desk I want to do as a standing desk. I'm thinking 4 foot high is going to be pretty good, so we can just chop this in half and that'll be the legs. I can get away with cutting this straight on the workbench because my saw doesn't go all the way through a 4x4. That'll do. Now I can chop up my plywood. I knew that was gonna happen, but I did it anyway. There's our table surface. And then I believe I've got some 4-foot 2x4s to do the front and back. Hopefully I do, because I just got back from the lumber store. Does my camera pick up this mic all the way in the basement? Impressive if it does. Alright, with this handful of boards, that should be everything I need. I had to find a few that were no shorter than 4 feet but no longer than 5 feet because I need to save my 5-footers to do the overhead shelves above this bench. I needed 2 and I found exactly 2. This one does need some screws pulled out of it. Now these 2 both gotta get cut down to 4 feet. Luckily I found this random piece of metal that happens to be exactly 4 feet long. I double checked, so it's very handy for measuring stuff like that. Then I need all these to be 21 inches, because it's 2 feet long minus 1.5 twice for the front and back. I love simple desk builds like this. It's just like a very fun level of extremely simple problem solving. You can get into a nice flow with it. This whole process is incredibly fast too. I use 2.5-inch screws. I feel like 2.5s are a decent spot to be. You get 1 inch into the next piece. For critical stuff, I'll go 3-inch, 3.5-inch. But you're paying less for shorter screws. Measure out the halfway point for my one brace here, right there at 2 foot. Lovely, then we can do the back side. I'm liking this weird mixed bag of colors that I have going on. Some dark stained wood, some raw, some of this red stuff from the previous standing desk. I'm gonna put this raw board at the front because I like the look of that better. And then we can get our plywood right on top. Now the structure I just made isn't necessarily square, so I always get my surface lined up nicely on the front board. Tap that in. I'm gonna use 1.5s. Just like 1 every foot or so. And then I can go around to the back side, and it is slightly off there by maybe like 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna rectify this by using an extra piece of block and clamping it down to force everything over. Not perfectly flush, but close enough for me. Lovely, that's functional. Now here's the weird part about this one, because it's going right up next to the other workbench. I don't really need legs on this side. I can just tap into these 2x4s that are already here. So I'm just gonna add legs that go on this side and then we'll get it all straightened up. Just stick our 2 giant 4x4s on there. For these, it can be pretty beneficial to clamp them in place first. And I'm by no means an expert on any of this. I'm just sharing what I do. Bit longer screws here. I'm going 3-inch. You could do this whole build with 2.5s or 3s or whatever, but I already got a variety, so I'm just gonna use them. And I always send 2 in from each side to make sure it's pulled nice into the corner. Then with both of those in, I'm gonna add some braces to make sure they're not skewed out. And then I can get the skew on the other side corrected by just pushing those into place. It's never gonna be 100% perfect because I'm using cheap construction grade lumber, but it can be pretty reasonably good. Alright, that should be it. I'll just sand a couple things a little smoother to remove any splinters and stain what raw wood there is left. For the record, the water-based walnut stain has gone bad already. What was that, 2 weeks? I don't know if it would be bad to use, but it smells a little off. The water-based with alcohol added, though, is completely fine. So that's what I'm gonna use. Dries faster this way anyway. Yeah, this looks nice. Those 4x4s needed that. At the stores I go to, at least, they only sell the 4x4s treated, so they're always like an ugly greenish color. That's why I like dark stain. It just kind of unifies everything, no matter what the base color was. Now I just gotta get all this stuff out of the way so I actually have somewhere to put it. I haven't talked yet about what this workbench is actually for, but I need a place for the injection molder to live. It's just been chilling here on the floor since I built it. I also need a more permanent place for my belt sander because I've been using that a lot, so that's gonna live here as well. I'm gonna temporarily throw a little piece of cardboard down here because I don't know if my stain's dry yet. I don't care if I stain my rug, but this is the actual carpet of the house and it's a rental. Believe it or not, I intend to get back my security deposit. Now that I see it standing up, this is actually a very tall desk. That is ridiculously tall. I mean, I'm a weirdly tall dude, but that's kind of a lot. Like, at the height these shelves are up, it's gonna run into the belt sander. Like, I can't do overhead shelves here. I don't know. I think I should drop it like 6 inches. That's iterative design, though. 4 feet looked different when it was just a tape measure than it does with a whole desk there. All right, attempt 2. Right about there. And I'll just sink a couple screws into that. Should do the job. Well, I gotta do the necessary structure test. Yeah, that seems fine. Okay, we have a little standing desk. Hell yeah. This whole side of the room needs a lighting update, but we can get to that. To wrap this up today, let me get my pride and joy, the injection molder, up there. Yeah. And my belt sander. Perfect. That has a home now. Underneath, I've got a bunch of room for storage. I can get some of these random cases out of my closet finally. And then actually, I just had a fun idea for what to do with this space. This could be a little shelf. And I actually have a shelf that I think basically fits in there right now. This holds all my various construction screws and things. If I adjust the structure of this a little bit though, that should be free. Yup, we're still standing. Then I can slot this shelf in there. And then straighten it out with one more screw. Sturdy, I like it. And for peace of mind, I'll throw the brace I took out just right behind it. Sweet, that looks good. With that, I'm gonna call it a day on the workbench extension project. I think now that I have this and this other new workbench, all of my machines actually have a dedicated place for once. I've always just had to pull out the one that I need, put it right there on the main desk, or use the belt sander on the floor, as you've seen me do many times. And the injection molder is on display again, which is awesome because I think this is the coolest looking thing I've ever built. That's all. I'll see you tomorrow, and thank you for your time. Oh, also, thank you for 50,000 subscribers. We're halfway to a plaque. I'm not going to say what I'm going to do with the 100,000 award when it comes in, but I will say I happen to know under all that metal coating, it's actually made of wood. I need the YouTube scrap wood. I need it.